Yuk aya yuk satinish the kat yuhan. Yaha yuk katangi dat aya to nakhidat to clean. Yeah, wait, just to nak to clean. Ach tu yuk ayuk satini. The kat yuhan. Kwasaku kadain yi out tu. Ida. Keshyatu do itik ayachahan. Yaiki. Kagachtu ak wujin yuk agachtu saat. Akaha yuk katangi dat ijagachtu ne. Chayuk gang. Kwasya khana. Yishakade. Gachiti. Ye awe achtuasaku. Khonde aya achsai. Shukach ade khatsati. Yesh na. Yesh hit yidachawe. Ja, ach sai, Fenton Jacobs you do sagen. Ach ish hasawe Ḳák'w. Ach ish awe yupe kasami do yatasu asako a skandu. Achawe Ḳák'w yati khatsati. Ya ach klar do ish daklawe di khasati. Daklawe di dachana yachat kit gushi hit dachawe has. Gsmåt Juan, awe uhan. Ja ach klar jena nach de ki nach hasatitsu. Ja Heidelberg a dachawe. Lingít dewe ka I chwasha tu. Was jen Ḳák'w jen tag shu chichen. Stuchas tu. Konne stuchas tu aya. 1996 ja ach lil team. Ach tu yek a klein awe. She at the hain, ha she at the hain. My name is Chone. I am Shukach Adi from the Raven House. And we're up in this place called Ḳák'w, or Ḳák'w, or in English, Chilkoot. Let's see. I started studying Tlingit in 1996. Anybody remember what the very first Tlingit word you learned was? Anybody want to share?
Juk.
Oh, okay.
Sheesh.
Sheesh.
Stay away.
Sean.
Chuck.
Ḳák'w.
Like, okay.
Ďák'w.
Ďák'w.
Not today. What?
Not today. Yeah, away.
I remember Cajun Donna for some reason.
Cajun Donna. Okay.
Yaduchat.
Yaduchat. Okay.
Ḥway.
Ḥway. Anybody in here? Anybody in the room? First Tlingit word.
Yeah, Achat was my first Tlingit sentence, I think.
Okay.
I live on a boat.
Mine was aged. It's my very first Tlingit word. I was staying with my grandpa in 1996. And his sister told me that he spoke Tlingit. I was like, what? Whoa. So I said, Grandpa, teach me Tlingit. Pointing at the salt, he says, aged. I tried to say it and he laughed at me. Which I don't really use his teaching techniques. He used to love to laugh at people. He loved to laugh at people so much. He lived in this really little house. Living room, bedroom, bathroom, kitchen. That's the whole house. One floor, little house. A friend of my cousins come over. He'd been there a million times. Good friends with my cousin. Comes in the door, says, where's my friend? And my grandpa says, he's upstairs. He's walking by and he goes, where's the stairs? And there's no upstairs. He'd been in the house like a million times. My grandma just laughed so hard. He loved to laugh. And he also loved to tease people. I like to tease people, but not while they're learning Tlingit. What else did I tell you? I've been teaching for probably about 15 years or so. I learned Tlingit from a whole bunch of elders. Almost all of them are gone now. I really started learning at a fast pace probably in the year 2000. When I came here to this campus and we did this immersion gathering, and I just started realizing how many people were trying to learn, and I kept trying to learn. And ever since then, I've been trying to figure out how do you teach people and how do you get them to talk? Those are probably the two things I just ask myself all the time. So I think we should get to know each other a little bit. This is not a big speech-making moment. This is not some sort of contest, but it is a chance to engage with folks who've been studying. Some have been studying a long, long time. And a really exciting part of this for me, hold on, let me turn my little beeping things off. Where'd my mouse go? One of the exciting elements for me is the community building part. So as we take folks who are maybe just getting started with their learning, and some folks who are taking Advanced Lingít Part 7, because you keep using it because you got people to talk to. And then we got folks who have just been using the language, learning, being around it. It's fun stuff, especially when you really get in there and you start thinking in the language and you get to the deeper parts of it. Sometimes in these highly sort of theoretical things about like, how would you say this type of thing? Three-legged dog, that was so hard to figure out how to say. All over the place. It's like, man, there's been all kinds of three-legged dogs. How is this? But there's this one verb that I didn't really write it down. At least I lost track of it. And I thought of this because I saw a three-legged dog. And I thought, well, I could say it has 3 legs, but is there some other way? And I thought about it because I was hanging out with Zeus, James Crippen, who studies the language up and down. And we got to wondering how you'd say like someone who has 1 leg. And so I said, well, wouldn't it be like Ḳák'w do jiwu? Then we said, well, why would they jiwu it? Because it's kind of in their possession with a body part. Do you have that? Like in English, the have thing does an awful lot. I have time. I have 3 kids. 2 eyes. Right? I have a cold. Those types of I think it would handle each of those things probably a little bit differently. So then we got ourselves a little stuck. So we went to Ḳák'w, Nora Dowenhow. And I think she said Ḳák'w. Maybe, but I didn't write it down. I'm usually pretty good at writing down stuff. Which here's your lesson. Make sure you know where you're writing down your language stuff. You're carrying around a journal, great. But if you like to do fiction writing and daydreaming and sketches and awesome. Bring 2 notebooks, I think, and have one just for your language stuff. Because you might be sitting here 5 years from now, you're like, how did he say 3-legged dog? Because somebody asked you and now you don't know. That dog. But I got a stack of notebooks that have all the notes, because I would always just I tried to just keep 2 notebooks, one for all my creative stuff and one for Tlingit. And I do it all on my computer, or my phone. But I have a dedicated spot for it too in there. This program, Evernote, you can have notebooks within notes and notebooks and all that stuff. So I have a dedicated notebook just for Tlingit. Because I used to hang out with Ḳák'w, Johnny Marks, and he'd tell me all kinds of great stuff, including some of the things you say if you're really mad at somebody. Using them. Those are used for both those things, a lot of them. But then I would find these little scraps of paper. I'm like, what is that now? He's gone. So just remember, sometimes your teachers are going to be gone. So your job is to document that really well, however it works for you. But just make sure you got kind of the whole picture as much as you can. Because you could just be furiously writing notes, but then you come back 5 years from now and you open it up, like, don't even know what that is now. Okay. Anybody want to say anything? We'll have a bit of a process here in a second. What's it? Oh, okay. Goodness, sheesh. Well, let's do this. I think this will be fun. Those of you in the advanced section, why don't you say hi and share at least one Tlingit language learning strategy. Oh, can you guys see? Okay. And I think all the advanced folks are online tonight. Who wants to go first? Say hi. Give us
Wasayati on Yake Hatiadi Kukaya. My name Ḳák'w Doch. I live in Ḳák'w, and something I newly discovered in my process of learning Lingít that kind of changed my view in learning is when you get into the intermediate and advanced classes, it's really good to brush up on some of the language in English that's used, your nouns, pronouns, adjectives, some of the stuff you learn. Like I took an English class in college years ago, probably a decade ago, and some of the way things are taught is kind of like if you know where to put things in the language in Tlingit and in English, it makes it so much easier. That's just my thought. Cheesh.
Okay, cheesh.
Kosin ayahat sukadi hit doc. My suggestion is to learn how to put things. I agree with the notebook, but participate in the study groups and watch how Nila Tola organizes her Google Drive. It's amazing and it's so helpful.
How you on beginning ku Nila Toga ayach danakasai gunanach sitee ohan Ḳák'w iak dachkhan gunas cheese hati di achshuk achid auslatu Lingít you khatangi kwa where Ḳák'w skewuti ingen and kwan krinach Ishmael hope. Hi you guys, I'm Mila Toga. I am the one with the famous Google Drive. And my family is Athabascan. I'm also a grandchild of Eenx. The first person who taught me Lingít was Ḳák'w, also known as Ishmael Hope. And my advice is, even though Ḳák'w was my teacher, every time I saw Rene, I told myself, oh, that guy doesn't speak English. I have to talk to him in Lingít only. Like I'm a guest on his land and I just have to do my best. Just like anytime you go to a country and you learn how to say thank you, where are you going? If I learned a new phrase, if I learned how to say, where are you going? I would say it to him, good day, sayani, good, just to practice it out because he's really good at picking up what you're trying to say. So it's, I don't know, that was something that helped me. Gonna cheese.
Sheesh. Okay.
Kitwiyukat wasak. Tlak yagi Lingi yuktangishu iltu. Tlich my diek tlak yagi oa. I'm saying study it, learn Tlingit every day. Don't just do it sometimes, but do it every day.
Yak echa. Sheesh. Atisa itat kwa.
Adichat Kashaya Aksayi Leka Kinach Frankatasi Khatu Wasak Yaki Satini Akhun Kian. My name is Frank, and it's good to see you all, my friends. I think something that helped me is I'll find a word or a phrase, and maybe it's like obsessive compulsive or something. So I don't know if it's the best way, but it's a way that works for me. Is I'll just run it through my head all the time, and I'll look at the word and I'll write it down, and then I'll obsessively say that word or phrase over and over again until it sticks, and then I'll teach it to somebody, like my kid or anyone that's around that'll listen, and I'll just keep using it over and over. Just like Ḥák'w, I was going around, it was going my friends and my friends, Ḥák'w, and I just kept saying it over and over again until it became second nature. So that's something that helps with me. So be a little obsessive compulsive.
Sheesh.
Káchtí nach saí Lingit chénach le Kák'w herb shakely. Lingit chénach sa cléich Katu Lingit chachita ati hidi. I think you would say it that way. So my name is Kák'w in Tlingit, or herb shakely in English. I think it helps to just say Tlingit first, whatever you know, just say it first, and then go back and translate yourself, whether people know it or not. And it helps to write it all over your house. Like you just write it in a Sharpie or write it on a sticky note, somewhere where it's going to be there all the time. That way, when you see the thing, that's what it is. I mean, it helps so much more than you think.
Okay. Sheesh.
Elias yu Ḥák'w Zanta Kehinich Yeti. I'm Elias. I'm in Juneau, although I'm not in the classroom at the moment. One thing I'd say is to experiment with Tlingit, like get a Google Doc and just start trying to write new sentences, or I'm in the process of making a Kahoot quiz online to test myself. So, yeah.
Sheesh. Atisatsu. There's a couple
They
of
are
sheesh.
Lingit Ḥák'w Wasak. Na Sitee what's in AD Ayachat Yahwanda Hayachat Kachchanak Kodzati. Gonna cheat woo way story. I've been transcribing before I looked at the answers. It was pretty cool. I've been studying quite a while. I did some work with Mrs. Florence Sheekley on the scope and sequence. That really helped me of listening to her and looking at it. And I develop things for children. Like right now, I was developing some stuff out of Lingít because I have been fleshing out Dick's beginning Tlingit and Ḥák'w, and we've gone through those, and I get retreads. I get same kids back again, so I have to kind of mix it up. In my class, they give me 9th graders, 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders, and 4 are in beginning, and then 3 are retreads. And so I realized from the years before that you cannot keep doing that to the older ones, and there's just me there. So I'm doing Tlingit and so I write it all out myself, like on general commands, and I choose 1 through 50, and I write it all in Tlingit, and then I put their names up and I put it all in Tlingit because I don't allow any English in there, even if I'm speaking it. You just have to write it in Tlingit, and I quiz them every day. I put it up on my Promethean board, and I say to them, "Wushtin, and I show him stuff, and he's too busy playing. He's a senior, so he's playing on his phone or whatever. But that really helps to do that for me. And I use the Tlingit units. But one of the things that I did that I thought was really good is I have a picture of my youngest Ahit Yahaye Wedu Kinde Wedu she Shantu upstairs. And in the morning time, I have like a stone, and I say, "Duji te we te." I hand it to him. Yun te we te. I put it down, and then I go, "You de are, ach te we te." I pick it up. You de na te we te. Take it over there, and do different things like that out of the Tlingit eenx. That's kind of the one that I've been kind of focusing on, even though there's some things in here, like I found inside this book, a sheet from Dick that said he was correcting some of his mistakes. I was looking at that. I was going, like, I have time to look at that, Dick, trying to figure some stuff out here. Anyway, all the time, every day, whether I'm like your guys' family, Austin Hammond said, "You'll rest when you're dead. Keep going." And I get so, gosh, I'm just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And my Aunt Ethel Mackinnon Dastia will say, "Put it down for a little while, pick it back up." So that's what I just encourage all of you. Just keep going, whether, and I like what Herb said about just saying it. So I ask the kids every morning, "Do you have anything for me? What would you ask me?" And I got some rambunctious middle schoolers, and finally I'm just saying to them, "Hey, you better listen to me. I've got something to say. I might not be here next year." They look at me like, "Oh my God, are you done?" It's possibly, this is interesting. It's history. The kids come in there, they can't find any English, any history books on Tlingit. And so I'll give them something. They go, "But it's in Tlingit." I said, "Yes, it is." Just stories in Tlingit. I said, "I don't know. That's what they do to us." Whatever. They have to take my class and listen. And you guys, I got one of those American Rescue grants for $82,000. I wrote it really fast in 2 hours, and it was just, and there's nothing I know what to do, and so most of the money is going to go to the tribe, for them to administer it, blah 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 blah. But anyway, I'm thrilled, and I got another one for elder camp too. Some of you guys better come to my camp, and yeah. So that would be a really good one. It's just a bunch of hoo-ha and me wanting to write a cookbook or something and Tlingit, down there on my land, which is my land. Don't tell anybody. but I'm squatting on my grandpa's land. Gonna cheese.
Jeez,
One thing. Eska Aya. I'm inspired by my colleague Juan Tlain. Yeah, Eska Aya. Lake Ḳák'w Daphne Wright. You cut to a sock. Hunak. Ye cut your tea. Hunak school. Huna schoon ye jehane. Acting ton I cut at least has Kaguantan. Has Filipino. So I want to talk about what I'm doing, and anyway, so I'm teaching elementary at Huna City Schools, elementary Tlingit. But the new news here at our school, and I was telling the people that were in class earlier that I've just had Ḳák'w, our school administration has agreed to hire a part-time person to work with me this year. And the intention being that this person will be an intern to work with me and work alongside me and learn my job so that she can do my job. And at some point I could be home watching Netflix and reading books and maybe studying Tlingit. Anyway, a little bit more advanced than the level that I've been teaching. I teach elementary and I enjoy it very much, but my level of language is elementary. It's kind of like if you taught first grade math, you're really good at first grade math, but you really would have a hard time in 10th grade math, let's say. And so it's not an excuse for my language level being not as advanced as I'd like it to be. It's one of the factors though, that I've been so happy in the work that I do with little tiny kids that my language is not very advanced, much to my dismay. However, this year having an intern with me will be a really good time and opportunity, and the time is now really, not only to continue learning my language and becoming more proficient, but also looking at how I've been teaching it. Does this make sense? Because I'm teaching someone else how to teach it at this point, how to teach children, how to work with them. So everything I do from now on is kind of like pressure. What I say is going to impact the rest of the kids coming up. It's going to impact our community because my intern is going to be learning from me. So pressure, but also a good thing. So Ḳák'w sigo le owa yak egan cheese.
Okay, Atisa Oyek, Johan.
Oh, I got someone else. Yake, Sikat Johan, Yuhwasatini, Stock, Alistaf, Yuhaduasak. Akayeka, Hunayis Ach. My suggestion is to listen and to listen to recordings, listen to people, and be happy when you recognize words, because then you'll know, I know those words. I'm going to put in the chat to everybody the URL for a set of Tlingit conversations that a lot of us have been working on for a long time. So this is a website at UAS where you can look and hear the recordings of people, many of whom are no longer with us. And you can also download MP3s of all readings there. So you can listen on your whatever piece of equipment you listen on. So we're working to get all of those with the scripts of Tlingit and English translation onto YouTube. And another suggestion I have is to form a study group of your peers and people who are like at about the same level as you, you know more, if you know a little less, people that you're really comfortable with, a small enough group that you don't mind looking stupid because you don't feel like you're stupid. Who wrote that book about it? It takes 10,000 hours to get really master anything like skiing. So I try not to berate myself for not knowing because, not knowing whatever, I should be better by now. But then if I really think, how many hours have I spent? It's not 10,000. So as long as others have said, plug it away. Cheesh.
Okay. Cheesh.
Sheesh. Sheesh. Sikat Yahan. Kuchain. I Aganda Khani. Shangri na Khiti. Sinedi and Gundach. To pick a story, I think that's when I really noticed I learned a lot of vocabulary listening to the same story over and over again. I took a native oratory class and my presentation was a Ḳák'w story. My Tlingit name is Ḳák'w. And so I picked that one, and it was the Yesh Ka Ya, the raven and whale. I think because you're going through all the different types of learning. You're listening, you're digesting, and then if you have to present it, and you're like me and you want something to read, you have to go through and transcribe everything, and you're in that repetitiveness. So like I had known this word, but I really liked the way he said it. He was talking about raven killing the whale, and he was like, oh, yuck. The heck out of that whale. And so the way he said that has really stuck with me. And if I do say that word, I've never had to, I don't think, other than a classroom setting, but it's not just a juk, like how I would read it. So I would say pick a story that interests you. I was fortunate enough to have a namesake story, but really encourage, yeah, Ḳák'w put in the chat the part where Raven's flying out of the whale. So yeah, pick a story that, has meaning to you, whether it's your plan or namesake, or, you're just interested in it. And then it's easy to learn because you like what you're learning. So, cut your hand.
Yeah, your namesake tells that story, and my name's in that story. That's very fun.
Sitee ख़ák'w Sak Kukitan Shawu Konlink ख़ák'w. I'm in Whitehorse, but I was just going to quickly screen share and show you pictures of some of the inland language camps, some of the activities there. And because that's what helped a whole bunch of people with Kune, and elders and other teachers, helped a whole bunch of people start the journey of learning language. So I'll just screen share, and I won't go over the language. I'll just show the pictures. You see, Lingi? So these language camps inland have been at Ḳák'w, Brooksbrook near Teslin, Whitehorse, and there's everybody. There's kids, there's elders, there's beginners, there's people who are, you know, it's their first language, just everybody. And you see the smiles, everybody has fun. And one thing that happens is that absolutely everybody helps everybody else. It doesn't matter where you are on your language journey. Oh, sorry, my mouse is frozen.
Oh. You'll be able to use the arrow keys.
Okay, I'll try the arrow keys. They Ḳák'w.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. Sorry.
Okay.
So lots of elders, lots of kids. And some of the teachers are teachers who teach in the schools as well that are there. And in these language camps, everybody is together. Some people stay right there in the camp. Some people come every day. This is at Nagasahini outside of Ḳák'w. People are together eating and having fun. And this is the daughter of one of the language teachers in Ḳák'w. And people sang and they danced, and a lot of people came from Atlin, and they brought a small busload of kids. And people have come from Yakutat, everywhere. And one of the big things that happens is that everybody has a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughing. Those elders, they love card games, they love puppets. And there's lots of different occurring language activities. Even this cat was forced to join in. And so people come together with their ideas and just generally support each other, and then it just sparks learning. And yeah, people act out stories, and there's just generally a lot of fun, a lot of love, a lot of laughter. And at the end of a 10-day or 3-week or whatever session, you're kind of, it leaves you ready to see where you can sort of start. So everybody come inland as soon as this COVID stuff is over.
Hey, Ḳák'w, this cheese. Anyone else from the advanced section want to say hi?
Ḳák'w.
Cheese.
Ye Dillathin, you had to a sock, Millie Hall, you had to a sock, like cock eenx. Daisling, ye had yeti, Daisling Kwan Dach, Ḳák'w Shao Ayachat. Shakudioe, Yef Tuchtla Du Yukatangi. It's true, those language events were just so much fun. And I found afterwards, like coming out of them, like after being there for 10 days or a week or 2 weeks, that there was this impulse to like really, really want to be in Tlingit and to speak and to think and just to make it a part of my day. And I found when I left there and gone into the outside world that, you know, the world is not like that. And it always felt like, I don't know, like a little bit of a slap in the face or a punch in the tummy or something, that that it just wasn't there. So I do agree with going to these events and going to these places where there is space for Tlingit language and it's safe and it's welcoming and warm. Yeah, I agree with everything that everyone has said here. It's all great. I was going to say, or to add, that if you do have the opportunity to be with elders and speakers, to just do it, because I know that that's getting harder and harder to do. I think it's so important to be with speakers, and if you can't do that, then to listen to them. And we're lucky in Tlingit language that we have so many resources and so many recordings. So,
Okay, cheese.
Good, sir.
Ah,
Shanakate Yichatu Sak. She Atikadach. Singet Shustu Khat Cheye Gugenk Kwa Tlaswasa Khat Ute Stekat every morning. What's morning?
Tat.
Stekat Tat Stekat Tat Ḳák'w 10. Yeah, Slinget Chuch. Yeah, Slinget Chuch 10. I read. What's read?
Khatu.
Katu.
Khatu.
Khatu. Yeah, Slinget Chuch Khatu. Gotye Cajun lines. After that, Agawe. I cook for my daughter. I take her to school. On the way to school, Skunde. Skunde Ayin. Achsikten. Pleegdeeg. Nask dak un Kejin. Bada. Jinkat away. After that, sign language, the national anthem with her, take her to school, come back home. Next day. Way cook. So I try to read the books where Hashaka, when the lines, they're not, and that makes it difficult for me. So I try to read Hatu and Aguyeska, Anushti Slingadani cut, where the lines go down. And I try to translate maybe 3 to 5 lines a day. Not translate completely, only translate what comes easy without getting frustrated. Because a lot of those words and a lot of those verbs, you could work all day and never get them. So I translate only what's been translated. I'm not a translator. I take the English over here, which is more or less paraphrase. I take the Tlingit over there, and I try to figure out what I key on the English. I try to figure out which word in the Tlingit side is that, and I always make sure when I get bored with one thing, I switch to another. I'm at the point now where I don't care so much about comparing myself to others and feeling bad about it. Instead, I try to get inspiration from others, try to listen to them more. And I know that every year I get better. I mean, when I go to PT, I'm talking Tlingit to my PT. When I text my daughter at Dartmouth, I'm texting in Tlingit. When I go to the doctor or whoever, text my relatives, text in Tlingit. Click, 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 on the dictionary, and pretty soon you got your text. And the other day I went to, I'm sorry, I went to my dad's grave. I talked to him in Tlingit. I never did that before. I'm sitting there talking to my dad in Tlingit. That made me think, hey, number one, he understood every word I said. Number two, you're getting somewhere. And this thirst for the language, it's not going away with me. I get hot and cold, I quit for a couple of months because I need to. But they say if you're doing something you enjoy, it's not work. That's enough. I talk all night.
Kunal Chish, Uncle.
Chish.
Yk'echa, milchish. Yewe, Yahashuka Ḳák'w. Gwalli tiwasagu hasujin yishi. Hasujin aya yitlegu. Hayukatangi tinyeka kwati. Yatlat kutak sawe shuwahi. Yatlingit chinach aya. Wuchin yukadulat. Achawe yeka kwati. Chatlechawe yeka kwati. Kleide hin we Ḳák'w. Haya was kain. Aqaqi kwati. Chatlech. Kukakas Lingít. Yeka kwati Johan. Yatlatki ka aya. You atnaku. Lingít chinachtin. Chaltakat yede aya atikuti. Hayukatangi tin yeka kwati. Gwalwushati lqaini. Ya an kach. Lingít chinach. Takana aq. Yida aya. Walkesh asa aya. Ḥák'w. Achoy helwasaka kwati. Kolchaye kukenki kakti usane yukatangi helwasaka kwati. Kwalisiku wasa aya asakhan awe kashilk tutachkhan. Ye awe hayukatangi tin hatu wasaku. Achoy helwasaka kwati. Gwalwe tokene Uskia kone aya ya anasquain you katung. Katuwu yik eada. Chishuko at away yak. Adesh to yil to yik a dekai akuya. One kanin saya khwasatin. Wasashtu denuk chutle aya hayu katangi keguhlitsini. Kaachtu yik etsa. Yewa hakusti. So I just wanted to respond and just say, if you want to hold the hand of your relatives who walked on before you, the ancestors of this place, you do it with Lingít. It's like there's a word we have, Ḳák'w. I was just talking about it today with someone else. It could be a noun, and it means a lullaby. Like you just think of people patting a baby, and that just creates a rhythm, and then you add a melody, and next thing you know, you got Akshe weduki hiya aha, anachawatana hiya aha, Akshe akatid hiya aha, aha aha aya. So I think about this stuff because it also means a handshake. It also means to give someone like a loving pat. Cyril George, we used to work with him a lot. His name was Ḳák'w, his Ḳák'w. He passed on about 6 years ago. He used to say, a pat on the back never hurt anybody. He also used to say, my prayer will be this: let Lingít exist forever. And it will, if you go out on the land and you use it. And when you see each other, you speak Lingít. Doesn't matter if you make mistakes. Odds are nobody's going to understand you, right? Although one time, I'll tell you a bad story on me, okay? I was on a flight, and someone was sitting in front of us, just talking all kinds of crazy. And I'll tell you what kind of crazy. Said, Russian salmon is the best salmon. So much better than Alaska salmon. Then he said, there shouldn't be any tribes in Alaska. It should only be the corporations. Yep. I was just listening, and we just kept going. And I was with my friend, and we were getting kind of mad listening, just talking loud talk around the plane. So I stood up and I said, I said it, I don't know why. So my friend didn't understand. I just figured I'd tell him, like, you don't know nothing. You're crazy. Not nice things. So then, I was going down to a conference. I was on a flight to California. So I'm thinking, who gonna understand me? Say whatever I want. And then later, we were at a conference, and we're with some friends, people we know from here. I was living in Kasan at the time. And this person walks by. I was like, hey, there's that guy that was talking all that trash on the plane. And this other person looks over like, oh yeah, he just gave this great speech and think, oh really? I hope he didn't hear me. So, but if you're out there in the land, and even if you make a little mistake, it's okay. Don't be afraid of the mistake. I'm not saying you guys are babies. When the way that we should be loving each other is like a grandparent with their grandchild. That's how it is when we're learning this language, using it, giving it our best. You see a little kid start talking, makes everybody happy. People aren't like, that's an irregular verb, kid. Like, people aren't talking like that. Just let it go. Because languages are difficult. And people, they get it eventually through use. And keep going. Don't jump out of the language. If you're committed to talking with someone, don't jump out and say, is that the right way to use the habitual form? Right? Like, don't do that. And don't switch out to English to sort of correct what you're doing in Lingít. Let the Lingít be. And really go for it with each other, on your own, as you build these things up. So I just want to share that. And let's see, I know some folks haven't had a chance to talk. I know there's folks in the beginning. It would be nice to hear your names. But we also need to take a break. What do you guys want to do? Short break? Okay. My clock says 6:34. So come back in 6 minutes if you can. Because we got a lot to try and cover.
Hey, if any of the beginning Tlingit people are around, I got an announcement real quick. I run a study group actually on Tuesdays, and I'll put the information in the chat. And I also posted it on our Blackboard. And if you're part of the Tlingit MOOC, it's been on there. I run it with by myself. So for Yiktatu and Ḳák'w have shown up, and we do it on GatherTown. We use a different platform than Zoom, and this allows us to do small groups, as small as 2 people or as big as 50. And it has games and objects and directions and numbers, so you can actually do all in Tlingit. And us beginners can do Q&A drills like Dasaway or Dasaya or Glusus in a way that doesn't really work for Zoom. So I'll post that information in the chat if you didn't see on the Blackboard. And I hope to see y'all, yeah. Gonna shish.
Sheesh.
We're on a little break. Can you come and help me to see if it's to check for audio and video? I don't know if I've been on, but I have been listening to everything.
Linda, Satuk, we can hear you.
Oh,
We
you
hear you,
can?
Satuk.
Yeah, we
Oh,
can hear
okay.
you. We just can't see your beautiful face.
They can hear me, but they can't see me.
Oh, we see your curtains.
Be prepared. Here I come.
Yakewe. Hagu, hagu.
Hey.
Yakewe.
Yeah.
Achuni.
Goodness, sheesh, Miranda.
Ah.
So I was about 15 minutes late. I had no idea. I mean, time just ran away from me.
So that's
I
a
agree
beginning
with
class?
what everybody said. What?
Is that a beginning class, Khune? That we were talking to? I liked hearing you say that you can take advanced Tlingit 7 or 8 or, an infinite number of times because.
We are doing that.
Yeah. And what was it that Shana Gate was saying how he texts to everybody, and Satuk Kaha, we try and text to each other and sing it when we have the patience, and Kashke, and put shirt on your phone and learn some good phrases and just all the time. It's like, how are you? When should I come pick you up? What are you doing? Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yana 8, I didn't hear you speak. Did you already speak? And
No, I thought I'd change things up and actually shut up for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Well, everybody else had such great suggestions. Nobody did say anything about Quizlet.
Well, then you have to speak up.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Another thing I was thinking is I'm looking at all these faces on Zoom here, and I'm thinking that the beginning class should see their friends, the faces in their class and say, these are my people. you know, we're going to be going forward together for as long as we can, for years and years and years. And if I see them out in the community, say wasasiati.
Uh-huh.
You know, let's get it out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it super loud. The first thing I learned though was but he taught me a Ḳák'w, which means it's lit, like the fire.
No.
It's lit. Yeah, I know. He's a couple years younger than me, and that was one of the first things he taught me was that. I was like, yeah. How would you say stellars, Jay? That's one I'm really having a hard time with. Ksz'g. Okay. Close enough, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Ksz'g.
That's like one of the, you know, I'm trying to memorize colors.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of the ones that like really, every time I see it, it gives me a hard time.
If you live in Tessin, you don't have to say it because they don't exist there.
Oh.
There you go.
But go for it.
So they eat up. A couple of people have talked about your favorite joke.
Ooh, which one is it?
I was curious if you knew that line has never been, it isn't said in the movie.
Oh, really?
He doesn't say, Luke, I am your father.
It's no.
It's just, yeah.
I am your father. And so like I was talking about what do you call that? The effect where it's like Mandela effect, where someone remembers it one way.
Bernstein.
And someone brought that up to me, and I'm like, it's a lie. Exactly.
I think your joke still stands. Though.
Yeah, no.
All right.
It does. No, of course, of course.
I'll give you guys one more. Then I'll tell you the true reaction. the true reaction to it. So one time there's this elder that I loved to work with. Her name was Ḳák'w. If you know who Ḳák'w is, then you know Ḳák'w. Beautiful, regal, noble Tlingit elder. She also liked to have a lot of fun. So one day, I can't remember where, maybe it was in Yakutat, whole bunch of stuff going on. I just went and sat down next to her. I said, which someone translate that for me.
What's the beaver say?
Yes. So she says, Yasa, which is what? And I said, damn. These were her words. She said, oh shit. She started laughing. So I like to have fun with Tlingits. I like puns. I like jokes. I like all kinds of stuff. I like to just examine things that people say. There's a lot of stuff in the language. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's hardcore. Sometimes it's not always appropriate in English. So I also try to self-monitor. But there was another speaker who was talking to me, and he said, you guys always say you want to talk like the old people. So I said, yeah, we do. So you know what they used to say to me? Ooh, what? It's Somebody translate that one for me. Itqanu.
Sit on your butt.
Sit on your butthole.
Uh-huh.
He said it. He's like, do you know what that means? It's like, sit on your butthole. He's like, yeah, that's what they used to say. So now you gotta go tell people to do that. He's like, okay. So, all right. We got about 45 minutes. I do think we should all say hello to each other if you hadn't had a chance. But we might have to go into the fast version. So it's okay if we just say our name and maybe share one quick thing. It's got to be a quick thing because we're just going to take a look at a very big piece of language, which is these two stories by Shah Dog, Robert Zuboff. And we're going to listen to them. And I'm going to tell you where you can download a whole bunch of stuff. You might know already. And then we'll just kind of go from there. I challenge the advanced students to go find things in this story that they really want to take a close look at. So maybe let's do the room first. So we'll kind of start on this side, so I can turn the camera this way. I'll switch the camera over. And just a quick hello. And then we'll just sort of, oh, I got to fix this camera thing. Hold on. Okay. Say hello.
My English name is Kaylee. My Tlingit name is Shakit, and I'm Mushkitan.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
My English name is also Kaylee. I don't have a Tlingit name. I'm not from here. I'm Inupiaq.
Oh,
so,
okay.
there you go.
Jeez, Koyanak.
My name is Muriel, and I'm Kentucky.
Jeez.
My name's Sela. I'm from Anchorage. I'm an Indigenous American and River Sioux. So I'm excited to learn Tlingit.
Okay. Jeez. Same. Okay. Jeez.
Casey, I don't have a Tlingit name. My mom was English Polish. My dad is Dog Salmon Raven, Ḳák'w.
Okay. Jeez.
I'm Nathaniel. I'm from Kodiak, and I'm excited to learn Tlingit and also the bit of culture that comes with it too.
Jeez.
My name is Lucas. I'm from New Mexico, and I like to learn languages.
Okay. Jeez.
My name's Talib. My Tlingit name is Ḳák'w. I'm Ḳák'w and African American.
Jeez.
Oliver, wooch,
Jeez.
Kelly Roser, and
Okay. Okay. And anybody online who didn't get a chance to say hello?
Yake Equasatini, now go you hot do a sock, Ḳák'w na Taja Rebels, Ḳák'w na Hatsati, Eenx, Yecha, Yeti. Gunashishal, hi y'all. I go by Ḳák'w. It's the whole thing. My namesake is Annabelle Rebels, and I'm also Ḳák'w. There's a few of us here, and I currently live in Anchorage. And I'm in beginning Tlingit.
Okay, jeez. Sarah, I see your hand up.
Sarah, you hot do a sock, and I'm here in Juneau and getting ready to make dinner.
Okay.
So I look forward to. I like to make dinner while listening to stories, so that'll be perfect.
Okay. And who else? Who else? Oh, Yiktitu.
Yiktitu. Yiktitu, Yuchatuasak. English name is Janine, and I'm in beginning Tlingit, and I'm from Haines. My dad and uncle and grandmother are all from Ḳák'w, and I was adopted into Ḳák'w when I was very, very young. But I grew up outside Alaska, so this is an amazing opportunity to reconnect and learn the language. And I now live in Alberta, so a bit east and south, but not too far. Ganashish.
Sheesh. And Brenna.
Hi, there you go. I'm Brenna. I live in Gustavus and originally from Juneau. And I'm just here to learn as much as I can. And I really enjoyed listening to everything the advanced students had to say. Gunashish.
Okay, sheesh. Michael.
Michael Yuchat Dosako. Ohio Chat Ye Chatiti. My name is Michael. I'm from Ohio. I'm just excited to be here and continuing to learn Tlingit and study with you all. Ganashish.
Okay, sheesh. Anybody else not say hi yet online?
Satukaya. Oops. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm Brady Perkins, or Tweet in Tlingit. I'm a Tlingit Ḳák'w, and Shanachit is actually my uncle. Nice to see him in class with me as well. And I just want to say a quick thanks to everyone before in the advanced class for giving their introductions, and it was so great hearing how good everyone is at Tlingit. And it was nice hearing all those words of consult and like suggestions for how to practice and what to do, and hopefully I'll be able to speak Tlingit with you guys soon.
Sheesh.
Brady Perkins. Achunk Duyit. Achunk Ye de Sagan. Brady to eat Yak Yik Yeati Seattle Duck Soldat na Duck Kenai Duck Ya Shi Ataka Kwan Duck Hunk Nach. That's my nephew Brady. He's a great guy. He's my older brother's son. He lives on the boat in Seattle. Hoot.
Hey.
Cheese, Uncle.
Satuk.
Gunith Cheesh. Satuk Yuchat Duasak. Ductain Tan Ayachat. Seattle Yechat Yeti. Achtuusigu, all of the beginning students. I have been studying for many years, decades now. So, and I am in the advanced class, but I'm a very much beginner in terms of speaking. And I find it most helpful to just memorize certain things so I don't have to struggle over the pronunciation. So those things can come out easily. And then it gives me a little bit of confidence to try to actually compose what I'm thinking. I agree with everything that the other advanced student said. And I think they're all good, but I really appreciate being part of a study group that's comfortable and small enough, and not all of us are at the same level. Some are way beyond, but some of those people then kind of take the lead and help us with certain parts of the language. Ḳák'w is just excellent at giving us little lessons, and she had one on ia and ua. Ia and ua. When do we use those? And that was just wonderful, among the many other things she has been teaching us. So in your study groups, each of you will have something that you feel more confident about, and then you can share it with your group. And other people will have other things. And Kone says, don't be afraid to make a mistake. And that's very hard. It's just, that fear of sounding stupid, of not getting it right. And here I am, as old as I am, and been studying as long as I have been. It's hard. It's hard. It's humbling, and it's also just fun. It's funny that it can be humbling and scary, but it's also fun. That keeping your brain alive and challenging yourself and getting excited when you learn something new and think, gosh, I didn't even know that. Listening to tapes for me is hard because I was telling somebody, I get tired of only understanding woo goot. They went somewhere by walking. And so then I like something that's a little bit more, what I have really enjoyed is the mini phrase book that Johnny Marks did with Carrie Edwards. And it's, I can't remember how many phrases. It's on 2 CDs, and they are phrases that you can use anytime. And I keep listening to them. I actually have them on my phone. I keep listening to them, and I'm still finding things that I thought, I don't remember that. And so, and it's, let's see. I don't remember if Carrie says a phrase and then Johnny does, but they repeat it. And there's a little pause so you could practice it yourself. And there's stuff about bedtime, mealtime, cooking, coming and going. And they're all stuff that you could learn and use immediately. It's I don't know if you call it old school, but might be old school because it sure fits me. It sure suits me. So, goodness, cheesh.
Okay, goodness, cheesh.
I wanted to add a little plug for this Tlingit eenx. Years ago, I had written to Sea Alaska Heritage when they put this out and said, it's really wonderful. I love it, but it's a mini phrase book. And really it's a mini phrase book. It's a teeny tiny book that fits right into the CD case. So I asked them at that time, is it okay if I make copies that have bigger print? And then I could use them at school and stuff. And I said, I wouldn't sell, I buy them from Sea Alaska and they know that. And I resell those little CDs in the mini phrase book. But a lot of times I'll give this away with the purchase. And I certainly use this in school. And I told them I would. So this is the mini phrase book, but I made it a regular size book so that I would be able to read it easily. And yeah, so I agree that it's really, really nice for beginners. I just gave one to one of the brand new teachers today so she could start listening to it and start to get some Tlingit in her ears and learn a few things that she can say with her kids like right away, or she could try anyway. Anyway, so goodness cheese.
Cheese.
Barbara Craver, you cut do a sock. I'm a perpetual learner. I wanted to just give you a little phrase. You'll come for the language, you'll stay for the people. Because your fellow learners will become your very good friends. And you're all working on something that's very difficult, but very rewarding. And if you are not Tlingit, like I am not Tlingit, but I have lived in Tlingit Ani for decades, and it has changed my life and changed the way I look at this lovely place of these people and my own life. So don't get out of the canoe. If you're tired, other people will row, but stay in the canoe and come together with us. Goodness cheesh.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, keep it real short. We got to do the power lesson now.
Okay, I'll do it real quick. Na wea you do sak kagwantan na sitee Ḥák'w ye do sak ha na kahidi updating yedi sitee. I'm okay, hooch.
Yeah, cheese.
Okay. If you didn't get a chance, sorry. So, go ahead. Let me share my screen with folks here. And if you didn't get a chance to say hi, we can give you that chance again as well. So, if you're just starting to study Tlingit, you might not know these two folks, but do everybody know who these two folks are? Everybody not know, and it's okay if you don't. So on the left you have, well, I guess, oh, is that the right? That's on the right. Ḳák'w, Nora Marks Dowenhauer. The probably the most prolific documenter of Tlingit, and just wonderful, wonderful translator, speaker. She was fabulous and fun to work with, fun to learn from. Sometimes she would challenge you. She would expect you to know a lot of stuff, so sometimes you would ask her things and she would say, "You don't know that?" So you'd get a little light tongue lashing and then she would tell you how to say it. She was also one of my favorite translators as far as like I needed to learn how to, people are asking me how to say this, how to say that, how to say this. So I would give it a shot and then I would take it to her. One of the last projects I worked on with Ḥák'w was documenting some of her own language. Over the course of making 400 or 500 recordings of Tlingit, she very rarely recorded herself. There was some recordings that we did find, but it's her reading some stories that were recorded a long time ago. She would be the interviewer. You would hear her speaking to people at a very high level. She was a very high level fluency speaker. But when I was doing some translation work with her, like I would write down the Tlingit and I'd say, "Okay, what does that translate to?" And she'd say, "It's your turn." So then I would translate it for her and then she would tell me how close I was. On the left is Huayinuk Richard Dowenhauer. So he was trained in literature, in kind of a lot of translation work going from European languages to other European languages. Then he was an anthropologist and then eventually studied linguistics. He was teaching at Alaska Methodist University. They met up there in Anchorage. All at the same time, you had Rosita Whirl, Nora Dowenhauer, Richard Dowenhauer, Jeff Lear, lots of other folks who were all up there in this sort of bubble. And they had been starting to record some people speaking Tlingit, and had a vision that you could write the Tlingit on one side and write the translation on the other side. So doing basically line by line translation, which had never happened before. The very first recording that she worked on to try and do this was a speech by Ňa Jessie Dalton, who was Ťachtén Ta, and who Nora said she was very scared of. So she really wanted to get it right. She said it was very hard. She felt like quitting a whole bunch of times. But then she met Richard Dowenhauer and said, you can't quit. You gotta do this thing. And so then they became a couple, they got married, they began to work together. And then one of the first stories that they translated was by Ňáw, Tom Peters. But before they were doing this work, who are these two?
Constance. Are we supposed to say it? I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Constance Nation, Julian Story, right?
Yeah, oh, and what did they do?
The verb dictionary.
They wrote the yellow Tlingit verb dictionary. They did the orange Tlingit noun dictionary. They also were recording people in the 1960s and the 1970s when they were doing work in Tlingit. So they had a collection of recordings that they had done. They had these books and they were trying to figure out like how to create documents to teach the Tlingit language. And people have been doing that before them, but they were probably the ones who really helped to standardize the way that we write Tlingit these days. Then the Dowenhauers came in and did some fine tuning. Other folks did some fine tuning. And then another writing system was developed. And then some more refinements were done to the writing one, the system that Nation Story developed by several folks who are working in the language today. Well, one of the recordings that they gave to Nora and Richard was a set of recordings made in Angoon of Shah Dag, Robert Zuba. So we're going to take a look at a story. And what I'm going to do, let's see if I do it right this time, is I'm going to play the audio and I'm going to put the cursor where the line is. So you'll be able to read it and hear it. Try not to do too much. Well, you can look at the English if you want to. But don't let the English bump Tlingit out of your brain. This will be, you can download this later. This is in Hashuka. The version in Hashuka is missing a couple of lines, and we'll talk about that. But for now, this is primarily a listening exercise, but also to read as far as like, you could download this whole recording, then you could download this thing, and then you could just listen to it and read it at the same time. You could read the English once, maybe twice, but then you don't need the English because you already know it, right? The other thing you could do is you could sort of pause the recording when there's little breaks, and you could repeat what the storyteller just said. Another thing you could do is you could just take it and read it yourself. Try to sound like the person that you just listened to. There's stuff about the rhythm, the cadence, the stress, the tone that you get from listening to a speaker a lot. Okay. Any questions before we start? Here we go.
Yoha ane Ḥák'w yu'tu wasak tret Ḥák'w basket be ayo asha to khustin yutatk Ḥák'w yachayo yutatk ya yanda yak aslenin Kenachati akha ayo kanto page. Yukis ayo Konakakan utaj. Ya antayite. Tel kakane kakayo anna atch. Ya antayite. Ya tutstuwo. Ikayak. Ya Ḳák'w. Ashakanach anakayo. Ashakanach anakayo yu aya atk. Ya antayite. Zetayo auto wachot. Aken. Asayo. Ayo zet hotokliyach. Anakaya ya akaatchin yo antayite. Tilk kajiena tijadek duskanch. Akakaya shatukhusht ya tsa ya antayik. Shakhatyede ataya atuta haja diye. Aya ya kis latine ko aya tokastich. Kena kayo yu iqiyan ohanj. Kena kayo yu hitkak akanokch. Dak ako awewe Ḳák'w shaki nuski awe aya hanuk Ḳák'w shaki. Dakun awe chukewe wushke ya khan. Chute iqtakhyawana te nitinawe ke ata ikch. Te iqtakhyawata. Chute yu hitkat akhet waspatutinen iqtakhyawata. Ye ayo hastukhuk ya kakhicht. Chutaya huche ayijaya an ya wusnachaya ye ya takich. Te iqtakhyawata. Akakaya ya kajapate. Ya ashekachuk nakaya kinde shatukhut ya tsayuwo. Anakaya tu ukhs. Kakatus ah. Takunakayu ya satkiyo haye. Uwaya ya shanataya kayu natich ate ya satkiye. Chutekektu shataya kaya yu yanik. Ya haye. Chute takunakayu ye chitunenuch. Ya kajakotitak. Chuteyande ya yendus ninitinawe kundakikjawe. Ḳák'w kinde yuzet katawe kasuguk. Kakikto aya. Awech awe tel Ḳák'w ya apkasanakuk. Chute aya anaknish u at jaka jakote. Yan kateyak atenen nawetsa. Yan kateyak atenen aka awar yakaya kanakawe. Yakun Ḳák'w yayi nakawe kinde anaskuknuch. Yaka jakote. Aya ye aya chute chasiako kadak kuchinuch. Ye aya yakshutan. Yashkasnik. Ye ayatu Ṭhák'w atat ya Ḳák'w atakh haatikh sitee atakh haatikh sitee nahle de Ṭhák'w atakh hatu Ṭhák'w achatu tlisak'w Ḳák'wete shukunach ate yatkawde yayiye ya Lingít siyete henne ayesh kasnik ya ikki nachaya hataw sitak ya ikki aya siyete henne stakhidik nachyaw sitak stakhidik nach ya akhish hastu taknuch ya stakhin yiknach ya hasustaqe Kekati ye ayo ak yahin sittayi denata. Ak ayaw ututlitzit ya khanat akak aya ye hasutuwa uyasha nakusan. Awastiyo ata wasak Ḳák'w wasik Yasha Naksan. Hasaya Shuko Nahya sit Taita Takasutu Wako. Atayi Nahas Katasha Wahe Naha the case at Kawashi. Ya sit Tayi Nahasu Tashi Aya Atatsuko Geho. Akakaya Khanats Eututsin. Akate Awa At. Atayi Nahaya Ya sit Tayi Nahaya Kusehash. Ya ichte. Sushiyatehene ako aya akaw tehik. Ya sit tayi dewusas. Ajaya akat awa at. Ya sit kat awa at. Aya jis kat nachyek uwa at ya ach ishas khunke. Ya taktawete. Jis kat achas usete. Ya sit kat awa ate aya akaksa aya. Sitka. Sitka. Yukoto wasag. Ya jiskat na wa ate. Ya uhan. Ya de shitan khasatiye. Chaya da chuna ya. Ye sakanik. Ya iki nachaya. Ya iki nach. Gut nach saksiye kutua at uhan. Gut saksiye nache kutua at. Atachayatsa. Ya nande. Ya nande. Kona ye kutua she. Siyate henne ye kautua ak. Siyate henne ye an khututiyech. Weka wawe. Ya kutsnu ya ak. Ya khiltik. Ik kat awa at. Weka wawe. Akata pusikatsiye. Hashiyate henne aha yaha khunche. Ya de shitan. Ya dak kak ye adak yate. Chucha kutak aye hasyate. Shiyate hen. Ya nahu aye yate. Kaya aksaye. Shatak so aye yate. Ya dak ka. Aya ata tukhatan ke aya. Has chucha kutak aye stiye. Hast du ihn gewusst, da ken? Ye ya ta khatan genut. Achya ich kata kaude ya uhan to. Chaye aya panak yashkasnik.
Sheesh. So these are two big narratives, right? So I think the recording is 9 minutes and 30 seconds. It's a lot of Tlingit to put your mind through if you're fairly new to the language, and even if you've been studying for a while. If you just put this on without the words in front of you, like it could be really challenging to like listen to it and to interpret it. So those of you who are, well, this is the first story in the book, Hashukah. Those of you who are in the beginning class, have you ever looked at that book, Hashukah? Yes, a couple of you have. So there's a book called Hashukah, and it's a collection of Tlingit stories. There's Tlingit on one side, and then there's English on the other. We kind of been going through and retyping it, because sometimes we'll write it a little bit different these days. There might be a line missing here or there. But one of the main reasons is so you can have the Tlingit and the English right next to each other. Because one of the things that you could do is if you just sort of scrolled up to the beginning of this and you looked at this, I'm going to ask it not to check the spelling. And if you saw these lines, it said, you, ha, ani, ayu. Like you could take it and you can have basically a third line if you wanted to, or a third category or whatever. So one of the things some of us like to do is to kind of pull apart the little pieces. So like these are the parts that are there. Like each of these are sort of individual things. So Tlingit is quite often a bunch of little things that smoosh together. And those little things either have meaning or function. That's what I think. I think they either mean something or they do something to the grammar. So for here, if you said, anybody know what this word is? Yuh. It's a very short little word. Yuh. Way over there. So you could say maybe over there. What about ha? Hour. What about on?
That is ours.
Yes. And it could also be village. That's one where it's like you gotta kind of listen to how it's being used. Right? Because if they say, there's a line later, on as we listen to it again, there's a couple spots where I was like, ooh, I hear a you instead of a weh. So I might go through, listen to it again and check. But then sometimes in the translation, if you said, what did he say? Shiyatahini, yeah. Well, let's go find the line. Hold on. I'm gonna get myself thinking in too many spots. I'm gonna jump ahead to this thing and then I'll take a look. Where's that spot? Right there. So for those of you in the advanced class, if I said, let's look at this and adjust the translation, perhaps. Not to say this translation is wrong, it's an interpretation. What's another way we might see this particular line? Shayatahini an wudutliyeh.
Uge.
So I see
Uge Anchodriech.
Shayatahini an wudutliyeh. So Shayatahini is really what? For those of you who've been studying Tlingit for a while. Like I think in this story, that might be the first time that I've seen it.
Is it like many places? So that's, I guess.
So that's the many places. So yeah, this little word yeah usually pops up right after a verb, and it could mean either usually it's the place. So like let's say capital R Raven walked through the campus. Raven the trickster walks through the campus. That's a big deal. So we might have a spot where Raven's footprint is still there. Huh. We need to give this place a name. The place where he walked along. So that yeah part makes it into the place where that verb happened. Well, we also see it used in a couple of other different ways. So it's like there's a bunch of these little words in Tlingit that kind of mean this, but in other instances they might mean these other things. Like for me, on means village, but it could also mean land or a big boat. So what's this?
When I heard that phrase, Shayao Dahaniye, I thought of that song, like Shayao Dahaniye, hey, 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 yeah, and I heard that was it had to do with war. So Shayao Dahani, many of them, and I believe it was talking about the warriors in that instance. So that was where my mind had gone to hearing that.
Yeah, because you could have something like Shayao Deha, the place where they became plentiful. So like it could work in a whole bunch of different ways. But in this way, it's like many places. What do you folks think about the an wudutlayech? If you're in the beginning class, you might not have seen this before at all. But we're gonna look up this verb too.
What about this? And I'm sure I'm not right, but hard wood ligas with ligas.
That was earlier, right? Because you have there's the God's verb, which is migrating, right?
Okay.
So if we just sort of took this one and sort of expanded it a little bit. So on. So those of you who are in the beginning Tlingit class, we're going to take our boat out to the deep waters, and we're going to jump in and swim to the bottom for a second. You'll be fine. We'll all come back up to the surface. A lot of what we do in Tlingit as we start to go along, beginning Tlingit, I think, is a lot of memorization, learning a whole sound system. You got to learn how to say Ḳák'w, which is swan. An underlined G, a high-toned U, an underlined K, an L apostrophe. 4 sounds all together. Ḳák'w. So you got to learn the sound system, and sometimes there's certain sounds that just take you a while. It's okay. Then you got to memorize a whole bunch, like a little bunch of phrases. I want this. I want that. I like this. I like that. I need this. I need that. That is. This is. This is called. I am called. You are called. You learn a whole bunch of stuff like that. But it's kind of whole language learning, right? Like here's a big phrase. Here's what it does. But what other languages like Mohawk have found is you can't just keep stuffing the phrases into people. You got to give them the structure. So what we start doing after a while is we start looking at the structure. And we start playing spot the verb. So if you go through here, and we're just going to go to the top of this line. So we see Kuhan, Deshitan, Chasati. So this part, that's a verb. Chayadachun, Yehasa Kanik, that's a verb. Ya ichkinach aya, ya ichkinach gut anach sakshwe yekhutuaat. There's the verb. Gut asakshe anach yekhutuaat. There it is again. I'd probably include this. So that anach was right there too. Adach ayatsa yande or yanande. Qonne yekhutuashi. Like that's a verb. Right? And so you're going to get this. One of the things you do as you start to learn more Tlingit, start to notice what a verb looks like. Right? Tlingit's got a whole bunch of stuff smushed in. When you're first getting started, you're like, wait, there's underlines and apostrophes and there's tone marks and the vowels are doing all kinds of stuff. You're going to keep learning that. When we spot the verb, anch wudut liyech. So now what we're going to do in these last few minutes is we're going to look up that verb. So one of the things I like to do is over here. So I went over here and I wrote it out. And then This is a little marker that says, talk about the verb in terms of whether or not it's happened. Lingít doesn't change verbs for time. It doesn't. That doesn't mean time's not important. Some people, when they came and started talking to Lingít people, it's like, that language is simple. Y'all don't need to change the verbs for time? They were like, no. But of course, they couldn't really talk to each other about this stuff. But we change our verbs based on event, whether the verb happened or not. Doesn't make anybody any better than anybody. The do is a pronoun. That's who did it. When you say you do a sock, somebody's doing it. The do. This is a classifier. You're going to learn what this is. And this is the verb root. Yeah. So look up this verb. We're going to jump to, whoops, wrong document. Okay, hold on. Stop sharing. So we'll go to this wonderful verb dictionary that Nation Story made for us. This has a yellow cover. If you have one, keep it. If you don't, try and find one because I think they're really cool to have. You can also have the electronic version. They are out of print. Don't buy one for $100. If you see one, people trying to sell them for $100 because they are rare. Scoundrels. So this book is made up of kind of three main parts. There's the preface and a postface, the appendix, the appendices. And that's got some good stuff about the grammar of Lingít, and you should check it out when you got some spare time. We talk about some of that stuff a little different, but it's a really good foundation. Then they have English to Lingít, so you could look up a verb. Like we'll just jump down to the G's. Gain, yagedlak, gamble, gliqa. You'll learn what those things mean once you sort of see them eventually. The second section is from Lingít to English. So when we hear a verb, the first thing you learn to do is spot a verb. The second thing you learn how to do is spot the verb root. So when you see that verb, wududliyeh, you will learn that yeh is the verb root. That's the part, once you listen for it, you will be able to catch it. You'll also learn that the vowels change, so you look them up long and low. Yeh in a long, low form is yeh. So that's what we're going to look up. Yeh. So we'll go to Y. I don't have time to tell you about how they alphabetize this. But what we had was sheyech, right? We have sheyech. And what you'll also learn how to do is to look up a verb and then start to find the verb that you're actually looking at. And this is kind of what I said earlier when I was speaking Lingít. I said, maybe you're going to be able to look out into your own future. Because if you stick with Lingít, you'll be doing this kind of stuff. And it's fun stuff. This is how you start to figure out what those old people were saying. Speaking big, full Lingít. And what you're going to try to do is build yourself up there. So this verb means to use something as it. So I could say, tsegeti uch, shitach chwashayech. I guess I'd say tsegeti uchu. I used a beaver tooth for a knife. So it's to use something as something. Te, kayakajit chwashayech. I used a rock for a chair. It could also mean to make something into. So I could take a piece of wood and make it into a table. So with that, the final thing of the evening, when I come back to there, I say that could also be they used many places as villages. That's not saying that it's not really a different interpretation, not that different. But there's another verb for like to make a village. You would say shayet deheniyeh dudze'an. That's it. Keep going with Lingít. It is a wonderful, wonderful language. There are lots of wonderful folks who are studying. Sheesh.
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 Sheesh. Sheesh.
Ayek echa.
Cheese. Cheese.
Sheesh.
Ah, okay.
Oksana Kadan Konkeda Kusuae. Konkeda. Kusuae Konkeda. Is he still in the classroom?
Like,
Dang. Where's he from?
Echosaka.
Okay. I was going to ask him if he did. Is it in the beginner class?
Yeah. We'll have to, we'll have to get together again under different circumstances where we're just sort of, I do want to get actually, probably we'll start this in October, is where we pick the first, one day out of the first week of the month, and we just bring all the classes together.
Mm-hmm.
That way we can all just sort of visit with each other and maybe run over a little thing for beginners and a little thing for, just a little bit for everybody, and then see if folks have any questions or anything.
Janine,
Okay. Yeah.
Lance is your cousin too.
What?
Yeah. His family.
reunion, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So
His family also came from the house.
Ganakatedi or
Jakwedi Kitkushi.
Kitkushihit, yeah.
You're there.
Okay. Yeah.
At Cass.
Kune, yeah. Do you know my dad or my uncle? Be Norm Smith or Carlton Smith.
I know Carlton.
Everybody knows Carlton.
Does the kids and yeah, he's.
What was that, sir?
He does the puppet. He's got like a little doll that he does.
Yeah, Charlie the puppet. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. That's how. Well, I learned to count before Charlie came into the picture, but Charlie reinforced that definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
yes.
down quite a bit, and then yeah, just knowing folks are from Ḳák'w Hit, and I just try to be real friendly with them. Grandfathers.
Tushawatsai Yuktatu Ruth Casco.
Oh, okay. Oh.
He gave her the name.
Yeah. I don't know if I received it from her directly or if we would have received it independently from another ancestor or something. I'm not sure.
She gave me
I was.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was under 2 when I got the name.
Oh wow.
So it would have been around 1979 or 80.
She was around.
Yeah,
she was running a lot of the potlatches back then. Back in early 80s, we'd see her and Tom always running potlatches for Gunnock, or for the opposite side, I should say.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
She had a really good answer. I said, Auntie, do you speak Tlingit? And she says, well, I am Tlingit. I was like,
Oh, funny. Yeah. Yeah, I had the privilege of meeting her a few times. But I didn't grow up in Alaska. So it's been an on again, off again sort of thing for me. But I made up my mind a while back. I'm not going to let distance prevent me from reconnecting. And now we have online classes, which
Yeah.
goodness, geez, yeah.
Trying to figure out like how to, and then also just try to work on like how we're teaching it and stuff. It's constant in progress stuff, but the students really make it happen.
Can I tell you a joke my uncle told me, and tell me if this is too silly to tell or not? Yeah, it's the Tlingit vowels. Ah, a, e, o, u, and sometimes yay.
There's a comedian named Don Burnstick, and he says, white people, you got your vowels. You got A, E, I, O, U, sometimes Y. We natives, we got our own vowels. It's E, I, O, U, A, and sometimes. So your joke was wonderful. It's great.
Yucky. Well, if you ever see my uncle, try to speak Tlingit to him. I'm trying to leave him voicemails with memorized phrases and stuff. So yeah, try to rope him in a little more. So maybe you can get Charlie to speak some more.
Yeah, quite tea. All right, I better drive home. Good as cheese.
All right. Good as
All right.
cheese.
Hey, bro, enjoy those cookies, man. Is that the right one? Was that the